Ladies and gentlemen, the constant violations of our airspace and attacks on our infrastructure send us a clear signal. We live in a new reality. The threats do not respect border and they apply to all member states. If we want to protect our citizens, we have to be more practical, more decisive. Every euro has to be invested where it brings real safety and security. Modern technologies, drones, anti-drone systems, good, solid communication, resilient infrastructure, and mainly a good European infrastructure of defense. We can't afford that our economic growth is siphoned off by nonsensical Green Deal programs. I also want to stress that for us, NATO is the real organization taking care of our defense, and we have to collaborate with NATO. We have to be more efficient when we are purchasing, and we want to strengthen the European production, small and medium enterprises. We have to be technologically superior. We have to be flexible and have access to newest technology.
I will now call to take the floor Mr. Kaminski.
The EU is falling again to hypocrisy and double standards. I agree with all of you that it's a very serious issue that Russia violated the airspace of the EU around 40 times this year. But I'm shocked that none of you is pointing out that Turkey did the exact same thing against my country, Cyprus, more than 1,000 times only in 2024. Greece and Cyprus suffer these airspace violations by Turkey every single week, but this is not what we are debating about in the European Parliament today. Instead, we are putting our focus on the violations of our airspace by Russia, while we stay silent about the same actions made by Turkey. So, to start fixing these double standards of the EU, I propose to you that the next plenary session in the European Parliament will have a debate about Turkey's violation of airspace. I hope I have all of you your support. I love you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, the major attack on key infrastructure in Europe in 2022 was the explosion of Nord Stream. 3 out of 4 pipes were damaged. Neither Russians nor Belarusians were to blame. It was done by sabotage Ukrainian forces. A few months ago, Ukrainian forces attacked again the oil pipeline to Hungary and Slovakia. This is absurd. While we are fighting imaginary Russian threats and drones of unknown origin, Kiev effectively destroys the European energy infrastructure. These actions are not condemned. No, there are even European leaders like Donald Tusk who praises Kiev for their sabotages. And the authorities in Germany remain silent. This is the country most affected by the Nord Stream attack. They are afraid of appearing as quote-unquote Putin's agents, a union whose leaders sacrifice truth in the name of political correctness and false ideology has no future.
In Romania, the Minister of Defense proudly announced 2 days ago that soon will be the second military power in the eastern flank of the European Union. Yet, yesterday, a Russian drone penetrated the Romanian airspace, and although Romanian and German pilots were allowed to neutralize this target, they did not shoot it down, they just escorted it. Luckily, the drone hit a tree in the county of Vaslui and fell down and it was destroyed. Thank God we have trees to defend us. We are not prepared to face a serious attack. We don't have enough weapons, army, or a competent defense minister. For the ordinary citizens, all the discussions in Brussels about safe, EDIP, rearm Europe are empty words. Last week, a whole village from the Danube Delta had to be evacuated because of the danger that a ship that was hit by Russian drones might have exploded. So the only forms of defense we have is evacuation of villages and escorting drones over the border. The Russians are laughing themselves off. Until we strengthen the southern flank, eastern southern flank of EU with drones of the latest generation, the citizens will not be protected. Maybe we should use some of the money we give to Ukraine in order to boost the defenses of Romania, Hungary or Slovakia. Thank you.
5 to 5.
Times, if I could ask a question to other colleagues, but I was not allowed that. Nobody wanted to answer my questions, probably because they are inconvenient. And my question would be the following. We are not capable of shooting down air balloons, and our newspapers write that our law enforcement officers profit from that smuggling. In Latvia, all the smugglers were arrested. Why not in my country? And we have to ask Lukashenko to set up a high-level working group so that we can resolve this issue. But you don't want that. That's below you. You shouldn't be holier than the Pope. The Pope addressed Lukashenko and he asked Lukashenko to release priests from prison, and he did that. And the USA president also asked Lukashenko to release political prisoners, and he heeded that call. So don't blame others. Think about what you're doing.
Thank you, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, most honourable colleagues, you are being strongly ill-advised and misinformed here. You are being presented examples of presumed Belarusian, Russian disinformation and terrorist attacks, while, at least in my country, in Poland, the majority of arsonists attacks and other acts of war terror were conducted so far by the persons of Ukrainian origin. And that's official fact. It was confirmed several times. While here you are being constantly misinformed about the nature and origins of dangers. So let's stop warmongering. Let's follow not the path, the war path. Let's follow the path of diplomatic negotiations. One of my colleagues.
Madam President, dear colleagues, in Munich and Copenhagen, we see drones near the airports, which perhaps just could be a bit of a joke, but instead it's considered to be spying and hybrid war. And, of course, we all know who did it, Russia. In Poland, a train driver sees an uneven level in the rail, and they assume, of course, that this is sabotage and they're going to blow up a train. And, of course, it's clear who is behind this act. So this Russian-phobic hysteria, everyone throws everything overboard. And the rule of law says you have to have proof. You can't just assign guilt through suspicion. And when there is evidence, then you can punish the guilty person, even if you're talking about infrastructure. So we can't accept that those who are suspected of carrying out the Nord Stream attack is just running around in Poland. So I think it's very important to notice that. Thank you.
Mr. Gaisel, you have a...
Καταγγέλλω με όλη τη δύναμη της ψυχής μου τις ρωσικές παραβιάσεις του ευρωπαϊκού εναέριου χώρου. Ταυτόχρονα καταγγέλλω και την υποκρισία και την επιλεκτική ευαισθησία αυτού του σώματος. Καθώς πέρα από τις ρωσικές παραβιάσεις είναι και οι τουρκικές παραβιάσεις του εναέριου χώρου σε Κύπρο και Ελλάδα. Μάλιστα πριν λίγες μέρες μόνο η ομάδα μου, το ECR, έκρινε σκόπιμο να ζητήσει συζήτηση επί του θέματος, ενώ όλες οι υπόλοιπες ομάδες δεν θεώρησαν σωστό να συζητήσουν τις τουρκικές παραβιάσεις. Και απαντώντας στον συνάδελφο, ναι, πριν 5 μέρες στην Κύπρο είχαμε παραβιάσεις από τουρκικά μαχητικά αεροσκάφη. Η Ευρώπη δεν μπορεί να ακολουθεί πολιτική 2 μέτρων και 2 σταθμών. Η ασφάλεια και η κυριαρχία δεν είναι διαπραγματεύσιμες, δεν χωρούν οποιοδήποτε εκτόσεων.
Security is not up for discussion.